A major champion, 29 professional wins amongst his efforts over the years, 13 PGA Tour titles to his credit, 4 PGA Tour Champions wins along the way. He won the 1989 Open at Royal Troon. 4 times he represented the United States at the Ryder Cup in 87, 89, 91, and 2002. He was on the 1998 United States President's Cup team. He had 762 starts on the PGA Tour, resulting in 27 runner-up finishes and 142 top 10s, 250 PGA Tour champion starts with 51 top 10s to his credit there. Total, 1,012 total starts in 193 top 10s for Mark Calcavecchia. And Calc, I can see on my preview screen that's making you smile, but something tells me somewhere in your body you're feeling every one of those starts.
Yeah, I can definitely feel it. That's for sure. Great being with you guys, and yeah, I've been around a while, but I'm not done yet. Getting ready to go out and play some more on the Champions Tour, and been playing pretty good at home. So let's just see if I can bring it to the tournaments.
I love it. All right, so in the last segment, because I could see in our studio here that you were hooking up and getting ready to come on with us. We were talking about attributes of a major champion. So, Andrew, let's find that graphic, put that up on the screen so we can let Calc discuss, are there particular attributes for a major champion, whether we're talking about a particular major individually or whether we're talking about attributes of a major champion at large? You can see them on there. Take it as you please.
I think it's a combination of both, depending on which major you're talking about. Right off the bat at the Masters, Brendan and I are going this year, and the last name you mentioned, I was waiting for it, is Eric Cole. I play a lot with him at Tequesta Country Club, and we're going to go up and watch him this year, along with several other members from Tequesta. So it'll be a lot of fun, but he's going to be licking his chops. He hasn't played it yet, but when he sees that course, he hits a high draw, and he can sling it, on holes like 10 and 13. A lot of holes you don't need to really hook it much, but 2. And his short game is world class. Chipping, bunker game, and he's a fantastic putter as well. So I think he'll do really well there. But then you look at a tournament like the Open, where weather could be a big factor. So there you have guys that need to play well in cold weather and rain and whatnot. U.S. Open, you better have your driver going in the right direction. So I think each major kind of PGA, sometimes they get a lot of rough there as well. Each major, I think brings out different parts of all these great players' games.
All right, so Calc, let me reel back the years here for a second. I want to go back to Masters final round, 1988, back 9. Sandy Lyle fails to birdie 13 and 15. You birdie 13. And you take the individual lead on the back 9 in the final round at that Masters. At that point, do you recall what your emotions were, what was going through your mind?
It was the conditions were pretty tough that year. We weren't shooting very low. I think I was only 6 under at the time, and I think Sandy finished at 7 under when he birdied the last hole to win. So it was a tough week. Pars were good. And, I was trying to get another birdie, but I figured as long as I kept making pars, I'd be in pretty good shape. And it's kind of what happened the last 4 or 5 holes. I made a couple of nice par putts on 16 and 17 and from 5 feet and a good chip from short of the green on 18. So, I don't think about Sandy Lyle too often, but every April I do. I can tell you that. It would have been nice to have a green jacket hanging in my closet, but he hit one of the greatest shots out of that fairway bunker on 18 in major, Masters or any major history, really. To make the putt on top of it was something else.
Yeah, to hit the 7-iron out of that bunker and have it come back to the hole the way it did is mind-blowing. But I'm interested what your mind was like at that time. You were clearly one of the top players in the world. You were knocking on the door everywhere all the time, constantly. I remember you and Kenny Green kind of owned the PGA Tour back in those days. But at that point, did you believe or were you even conscious of the fact of going through the process and thinking ahead of saying, my gosh, I might be on the verge of winning the Masters? Or were you such a honed competitor by that time that your mind was only on what you needed to do next and thinking about, like you said, I need to make a birdie somewhere?
Yeah, and in '88, because it was only my second Masters, um, I was like, this would be cool to win this tournament, but if I don't, and I thought this way afterwards, I'm going to have another 20 opportunities, so I'll get a green jacket one of these days. And of course, it didn't work out that time. But when I did start thinking about it was I birdied the first hole in 2001 to tie for the lead on Sunday, and then I started thinking about if they had a green jacket big enough to fit me. And that kind of unraveled me the rest of that day. And I was playing well too. I was really confident and was sure I was going to, have a good chance to win it coming down the stretch, but didn't work out. I still had a good tournament. I think I tied for fourth, but yeah, that year is when I really thought about slipping that green jacket on myself.
It's an age-old question, isn't it? This idea of, is the best player in the world seemingly of like a Jack Nicklaus mindset that has complete and total cognitive control of the situation, where he is, what he needs to do? Or are you better to be a person that has it completely and totally turned off in your mind and everything is on autopilot? Where would you fall?
I think when it comes to events like that, it's the guys like Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods, their greatness. When you believe you can do it and you're better than everybody else, I think that has a lot to do with winning majors. It's hard to be a first-time major winner. In '89, when I won the Open, I was just playing well and super confident, and even then, I got a couple super lucky breaks. Obviously, flying the chip in the hole on 12, and then having Wayne Grady make a few bogeys for me on the par threes in the back nine. So, and then I was able to get it done in the playoff. But a lot has to go right to win a major and to be a first-time major winner, especially.
Yeah, well, hold that thought on the '89 Open because I want to get into it with you some detail. When we're talking about Jack Nicklaus, if memory serves me, growing up, you were playing in South Florida, you were playing against Jackie a lot. Am I correct on that?
Correct. He was one of the first kids I met when I got down to North Palm Beach in the summer of 1973. We played a lot of junior golf together, and then, of course, 4 years of high school together, different high schools. But, yeah, we played matches against each other all the time.
So how much was the occasions that you had to be around his father, the legend, Jack Nicklaus, important in your career? What imprint did that put on Mark Calcavecchia?
Oh, he was, he's my golfing idol, always has been, always will be. The way that he treated me back in the, '73, all through high school, he came to watch a lot of our matches if he was home. And, to have Jack Nicklaus watching you play golf and then, when it's done, say super nice things to you. I really like your game, Mark, blah, blah, blah. I think you've got a bright future, all these things. Well, he was just always so nice and complimentary to me, and that that built my confidence a lot. I was able to win quite a few junior tournaments and have a good junior career, and Jack Nicklaus's niceness and confidence in me had a lot to do with that.
Calc, I got to ask you something, and our discussion board is going crazy. If you guys want to be a part of it, go to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel. You're a Gator, aren't you? Didn't you graduate from the University of Florida?
Well, I was a little short of graduating. I was on at least a 5-year plan, somewhere between 5 and 8, and made it 3. So I did. I am a Gator. I assume you see this Buckeye sweatshirt I got on. Hey,
yeah,
it
it's
was
making
the first
people
thing I
go
grabbed
crazy.
in my closet. Well, Brenda's a Buckeye. I'm guilty by association, but luckily for me, I never liked Michigan, so it wasn't hard to jump on the Buckeye bandwagon.
Oh, dude, you are making so many friends right now. I can assure you about that. Hey, I want to ask you about something. When you see Scotty Scheffler swing, and you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
How much do you see Mark Calcavecchia in that? Talk to us about his golf swing and yours.
Yep. Pretty similar, really. A lot of people forgot I had the right foot slide. Not as I was never as fast, obviously, or hit it as far as Scotty does, or swung that hard. So that's why his foot kind of keeps going, and it's a lot of it's got to do with clearing your left side really hard, and then your right foot just kind of goes back, and that's what Scotty does so well. But I mean, I've literally seen him nearly fall over, where his right foot ends up on the other side of his left foot, which mine never did, or Greg Norman for that matter. He also had the sliding right foot, but I don't think anybody hits it as good as Scotty Scheffler. So whatever he's doing is pretty dang good.
Do you feel like in your personal game, Calc, that you were fortunate in that not only did you have the solid ball striking and accuracy, and all I have to do is look at what you did in Phoenix over the years, look at what you did, for example, in the final round. We're going to talk about it at the Open. You shot 64, 8 under that final day to put you in a position to win, which you did in that playoff. But you possessed both the brawn that you needed to do what you did in your era at the height of your prowess, but you also had touch with that putter.
Right. And my short game and my ability to hit flop shots and, short-sided chip shots, bunker shots, whatever, I think that had a lot to do with me being so aggressive and being able to fire at flags that a lot of guys didn't, because I wasn't afraid to short side myself, whether it be just left of the green or just right of the green or whatever. And I was confident I could get it up and down. So that really enabled me to mentally just say, what the heck, I'm going right at this flag when a lot of guys wouldn't have. So, I think my short game in my prime was, and at times it's still really good. It's streaky now. It's always been a little streaky. It's more streaky now. But when I was playing my best golf in the late 80s and early 90s, I could get it up and down from anywhere.
But you were continuing to be a part of the mix. You talk about it yourself in the early 2000s at the Masters, just as one example, and being able to win events. What was it about, do you think, your game that allowed you to have such longevity?
I never got that far off. I was lucky enough to, in the early, 1984, start working with Peter Costas. And back then, before Metalwoods, everybody hit a hook. And I could hit it plenty far. So that's when we decided to kind of get me to hit a fade and get a metal wood with 7 degrees loft and a really stiff shaft that was virtually impossible to hook. You could pull it, but you couldn't really hook it and keep it in the air. So I think from that point on, 10 years working with Peter and also working with Butch Harmon for 10 or 12 years, it was just easy to not get that far off with their help. And I think that's, tee to green, I was never lost, so to speak. And I think that's kind of what really enabled me to keep playing fairly consistently well for several years in a row.
What about putter loyalty? Did you stick with the same blade or did you switch around?
I used the ping answer most of my career. Or an answer two was what I used in Phoenix when I shot 28 under. And then from that point on, I kind of started switching around a lot. And I was telling Eric Cole this the other day. In Pro-Ams on Wednesdays, I never used my gamer. I used another putter because I didn't want to waste making a bunch of putts in the Pro-Am, if that makes any sense. So, or if I got like 5 or 6 or 7 under in the Pro-Am, I'd tell my caddy, I'm going to hit one on the water here, or I'm gonna make blow this first putt 20 feet by or something and make a few bogeys. So I didn't shoot too low in the Pro-Ams. But all us golfers are crazy. We get to thinking like that, where you don't want to go too low in the Pro-Am or make too many putts on Wednesday and save them up for the tournament.
All right, so it's got to be a shrine somewhere. Where do you have the putter from Royal Troon? What wall is that up on?
Well, here's a tragic story for you. I do not have that putter. I have every other putter that I won a tournament with on a club rack. And back in the early 90s, I guess it was, my first wife, I had 2 bags of clubs, my putters, my good ones and my kind of donated ones or giveaway for for auctions or charities or whatever. And she says, somebody wants a putter or whatever. I said, okay, fine. Go to the bag with the crappy putters in it. And she went to the wrong bag and the one that she picked out had a weld mark on the bottom of it. And that's the putter I won the Open with. It was a ping answer, but it had a weld mark on the bottom. So if anybody's listening to this and they got an old ping answer with a weld mark on the bottom of it, can I have it back, please?
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah. So off it went, and
So
I haven't seen
somebody
it
wanted
since.
like a charity event, like we got this used putter, you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, no idea that it won the Open at Royal Troon in '89. So
And I did note,
crazy
just
story.
not to be cruel, but I noted that you said it was my first wife, so now we understand what happened.
Right. Yeah, things weren't so good after that.
The 1989 Open at Royal Troon. Before we get into the details, I just want to ask you about Royal Troon itself, the character of the golf course, the philosophy that one has to have when you're playing it. What are your thoughts about Royal Troon?
Well, when I first got there, the weather was beautiful all week. It was 70 degrees, probably not more than a 15-mile-an-hour wind. And my first practice round was Mark O'Meara and I took on Curtis Strange and Arnold Palmer. So my first look at Royal Troon was playing with those three guys, and the king Arnie. So and I made a putt on the last hole in the practice round to take like 50 pounds off of him, and he was Arnie didn't like to lose no matter what it was. So but that was my first look at Royal Troon, and I knew I loved it. I think I played 9 Tuesday, 9 Wednesday, and I was ready to go. And again, it was a perfect week of weather, so it wasn't like we all had to battle super tough conditions, but still the scores, we only the playoff was at 13 under. It wasn't super duper low, so the golf course held up, and it's rare you find a course where you really like every single hole in the course, and I do at Royal Troon.
You went crazy in that final round, an 8 under 64, which was, I believe it was the course record, if memory serves me.
No, that was Norman that went crazy. He birdied the first 6 holes.
Correct.
I shot 71, 68, 68, 68. So, yeah, and then in the playoff, Norman birdied the first 2 holes again, and I was like, man, this guy's making he's 10 under through 20 holes.
No,
on
thank
Sunday.
you for correcting me. Did you know, though?
No problem.
Calc, did you know that it was going to be a 4-hole aggregate playoff at that point, or where was your mind? Because this was the first one. Were you aware at that time?
I had no idea because, at the start of the week, you're not worried about what the playoff hole is going to be. Once right up until Wayne Grady didn't birdie 18, he had a little chip from the back of the green and made par. And then I asked the R&A official, I said, I assume we're going back to 18. I had no idea. He says, no, we're going to 1. And 1's the easiest hole in the course. It's a driver and a 60-yard little L wedge shot with just a couple of little bunkers out there. And I said, well, that's a strange hole for a sudden death playoff. He says, no, we're playing 1, 2, 17, 18. So I said, oh, thank God. And it was a relief because anything can happen in sudden death on 1 hole. So I thought, oh, this is great. I got 4 holes to, do something and hopefully come out on top. And that's kind of the way it worked out.
All right, so you correct me that Greg Norman goes crazy in that final round, and then you noted that in the first 2 holes of the playoff, he went birdie. There's only 4 holes, so if I may, take us through what happened with you and with Wayne and with Greg in those 4 holes.
All right, well, Greg birdied the first hole from about 10 feet. Wayne and I parred. The second hole, I kind of thinned a 9-iron because, the fairways were dead. It was really hard to hit it super solid. To the back edge, about 30 feet past the hole. I don't remember what Wayne did, but I know he made par. And then Greg hit it in there about 12 feet again. But I putted first and made my 30-footer.
Oh.
And then Greg poured his 12-footer in. So he was, that's what I'm thinking. Is he going to birdie every hole on me out here or what? So he was 2 under. I was 1 under, and Wayne Grady was even. So then we go over to 17, a long par 3. And Greg steps up and just roasts this 3-iron. Beautiful shot, right in the middle of the green, but it went just over. I hit a 3-iron on the green, and Wayne Grady hit it in the bunker. Now here's where what I couldn't believe my eyes at. Greg was literally 5 feet over the green, but there was no grass there, but there was one weed in front of, about a foot in front of him, dead in his line, but it was a tall, skinny weed, and I think he pulled out a 7-iron, and I whacked my caddy on the shoulders. I said, "Can you believe he's chipping this?" I would have putted it every single day of my life. I would have putted it from there, and he chipped it about 10 feet by. Wayne had a super hard bunker shot, hit it 20 feet by. I hit my 30-footer tap in. Wayne missed, and Greg missed. So now we're both one under, and Wayne's one over. And so on 18 in regulation, I hit a really good drive, not my all-time best, and I was only about 4 yards short of that bunker called the coffin bunker. And and then Greg got up and just blistered one. And I was watching. I was on the left side of the tee, and I was watching it. And I thought to myself, if this kicks a little right, it was a solid fade right down the middle. If this kicks a little right, it might catch the corner of that bunker. And it kicked right. And he was already 20 yards off the tee, and it kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And back then, my eyes were good. And I saw it catch the corner of that little bunker. And I'm like, oh, that's dead. He's going to have to chip out. And then I hit a bad drive because I was afraid of hitting it in that bunker. So I kind of hit this fan drive out to the right, 201 yards from the hole, but I had a good lie in the rough and just hit the 5-iron of my life. It looked like it was about 3 feet from back there, but it was about 7 feet short. And that's when Greg decided he needed to try to do something heroic and get it out of that bunker as far up there as he could. And then he hit it in the cross bunker, and then he hit that one in the clubhouse, and that was essentially it. So at that point, I knew I could 3-putt from 7 feet and win the Open. But my only thought, and I've never had this thought before that or since, don't double hit it. If you watch the replay, I kind of short stroked it and recoiled a little bit. It barely got to the front edge and fell in. And again, my wacky brain comes up with these things, but yeah, that was it. And then the next thing, I don't even remember what I said in the speech. No recollection of that. The next thing I really remember was riding back to the hotel in Ayr. It was called the British Caledonian, with the claret jug in my lap, and my caddy sitting next to me, and we just started laughing and said, what the heck just happened? And that was it. Amazing.
When did the realization of what just happened settle in? How did winning a major championship, or did it change Mark Calcavecchia?
Well, the next morning, of course, I was in coach back there holding the claret jug, and the captain came back to me and congratulated me and says, "We can't have our Open champion sitting back here in coach." So so that was the first perk. He brought me up to first class. So that was fun. But it was a great couple of weeks in my life. Went back to Phoenix, which is where I was living at the time, and my wife was due with. We didn't know she was a girl. We didn't know, but she was a girl, and she was born 2 weeks late. So she was born Tuesday of the PGA that was at Kemper Lakes. So we named her Brittany, Britt for short. And that's how she got her name from me winning the Open. So that's pretty cool.
It is so cool. Calc, it is great catching up with you. Thank you very, very much for giving us as much time as you did today and sharing some of these memories and talking about major champions. You mentioned at the start that you're going to get out there and play some. When can we expect to see you next?
Next week in Tucson. I'm going to play the next our next 3 tournaments are out west. We play at La Paloma, a new course in Tucson, which I played and I like. Then a week off, so we'll go out to Phoenix, and we're gonna drive our bus out there actually. So we're kind of packing up this week and getting ready to hit the road out west. We'll take 4 days to get out to Tucson, and then hang with my daughter and son-in-law and my new grandbaby out in Phoenix for a week.
Oh, congrats!
And then the next tournament's in Newport Beach, California, and the one after that's in Palm Springs.
Great,
so
looking forward to it.
It'll be a nice little West Coast swing, and then we'll drive on back east.
That's awesome, man. We're very much looking forward to seeing you out there again. Again, thank you for your time. We wish you the best.
You got it, Matt. Anytime. Thanks for having me.